Okay, this is going to be a quick video on a introduction to shape modes in Pathfinder tool and Illustrator. We've been working with vectors and paths with the pen tool and creating shapes that way using Bezier handles and anchor points. This is going to be now using shapes within Illustrator and manipulating those shapes to basically create new shapes and how shapes can interact. And so let's get to it. You're going to need to, from this assignment, click on Shape Modes Pathfinder Worksheet, and that's going to take you to my Google Drive, where then you're going to download this. This is actually an Illustrator file, and we can see that by the .ai right here. Okay, so we're going to download that. Okay, now we can go and open Illustrator. However, you can get to Illustrator to open it. Wait on that to open. Okay, once we are in Illustrator, we're going to go to File. We're going to go to Open, and this will be in our Downloads. So we just download it. Click on Downloads, and it'll be the thing at the top because this is the last thing we downloaded. We're going to open that. All right. So what you're going to need to have over here on your right is you're going to want your properties. We're not really working with layers on this. We're just going to work on the one layer. It shows all of these layers right now. I'm not really sure why, but anyway, so we're going to have properties, and then we want the Pathfinder tool. So I'm going to X out of this, show you how you can get to it if you can't see it. You can go to Window. It was on my desktop because I was just recently using it. You go to Window and you scroll down. Actually, got to use the downward arrow, it looks like, and get to Pathfinder and click on it. Now it's going to appear for you. Okay, yours might be somewhere else on the desktop, but you should see this. So if you notice right here, the name of this assignment is Shape Modes in Pathfinder. Well, there's your shape modes right here. Okay, here's your Pathfinders, which are right here. So if I hover over each one of these, it's going to reveal for me what the name of these little tools basically are. So that's Unite. Whoops. There's minus front. There's intersect, exclude, divide, trim, merge, crop, outline, and minus back. Now over here, I've created this worksheet all with each one of those tools basically titled. And then I've created two shapes, all the same basically except for this one. And we're going to manipulate each one of these. And what you're going to end up doing in the end is once you've used Unite, used minus front, used each one of these tools on these shapes, you're going to save it and turn it in. So everyone's essentially going to look the same, or should, and it'll show me that you did use each one of these tools, okay? And you'll get to see what they each do. So you're going to have to make sure you have your selection tool, which is the dark arrow, selected. At some point you might end up having to use your direct select, I can't recall. But just make sure you have the dark arrow right now, which is the V key. If you make sure you press that, you'll have this selection tool, okay? So we're going to have to first select both these shapes, okay? So the blue shape is on top of the orange shape, okay? Now if you notice, this is something I want to point out. This little bar shows up, and it tells you to group or ungroup, okay? If I click on group, it's going to make them united, okay? So if I go click on one, it clicks on both. It basically selects both. If I go to ungroup, which it originally was, and if I click in the white and deselect that, if I click on the orange, now we just have the orange selected, okay? Just know at some point we're going to be using group and ungroup on these. So let's outline, basically select both these shapes, and then we're going to go over here to our first shape mode, which is Unite, and click Unite. So you can see what it did. It united them. It made them one shape essentially. Now just use the color of whatever is on top, it looks like. Okay, so there's Unite. So we'll select both of these. All I'm doing when I select these is I'm clicking out here on the white and then dragging my mouse across it. You see a little dotted line, and then release it, and that selects both of them. Okay, that's how I'm selecting them. All right, so now I'm going to go up to mode. This is minus front. Okay, so what that did was that took the front shape and basically took a bite out of the back shape. Whatever the front shape was overlapping on the back shape, now basically cut out that. So it makes an interesting shape. So I'm going to take the intersect. I'm going to select that. Go to intersect. Press on that, and all that did was where they intersected, it just left that shape. Okay. Whereas it used that shape to cut out this part where they overlapped. As you can see, when I highlight this next one, you can see that overlap right there. That's all that was left with the intersect. With that intersect. So, okay, so let's go to exclude. So now it kind of did the opposite of that. It took that out and left those two, but it gave it the color of what was on top. Now, this is where we can use ungroup. It basically made a group of these shapes, right? You can see how it says ungroup, whereas before it said to group. It just automatically grouped those and it made them blue. So it's treating this as one shape. So I'm going to show you something here. So if I go to ungroup, watch what happens. Now I can do that. Okay. So if you go to ungroup, now I'll show you something else. I'm going to Control Z that and get that back there. If you go to your on your keyboard on the right, your shift key, under your shift key, you got up and down and left, right arrows. I'll show you how you can nudge this over just by pressing those keys. I press the down key and then the right key to move that over. Okay. Now, if I wanted that orange again, I'll show you something. If I click on this, if I go over to my eyedropper tool, which is right there, and click on that orange, that's orange again. Okay. If I want it blue again, I click on blue. Okay. So do that. So I'm going to get back to my selection tool, the D key. All right. Select on the white to deselect that. Okay. So now I'm going to come down here to divide. So I'm going to come down here and select that. Click on divide. Now, notice what that did. It changed that to ungroup. Basically, this is pretty cool. So now it's I'm going to ungroup it. Okay. And I'm going to click on the white to deselect. I'll go up here and click on this blue right here. Use my up key, my left key, arrow keys that is. Now I'll come down here and select on my orange, down key, right key. And so now we got three shapes divided out of that. So it used the orange, which was square, which is underneath, to divide that, which is pretty cool. Because if I go select this one, you can see how that path is visible. Once I have both these selected, it shows basically what's being overlapped, the path that's there. That line is the path, right? You can see the word path show up. So it's using that path to then cut out that shape, right? Pretty cool stuff. So now I'm going to go to trim, and I'm going to click on trim. Now you notice it changed it to ungroup. It was, now they're grouped. Essentially what that means when it says ungroup, that means these are now grouped. Okay. If I click out here on the white, and if I click on this, it treats it as one. Okay. But if I go to ungroup, click on the white, click on the orange, downward arrow, arrow right, just to kind of separate them. That's all I'm trying to do. You can see how they're basically two different shapes. Now, basically, it took a bite, kind of like minus front, but yet it kept the blue oval, right? So merge, this is different. Okay, we got two of the same color. Let's just say we want to make basically what we call sort of a compound shape. That's basically a compound shape. We want to make something like this. I'm going to show you how you can do it another way. This unite, this is merge, basically about the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this blue, whoops, and move it up under to where they're overlapping. Now I'm going to select both shapes. Now I'm going to go to merge. Okay? Basically did the same thing as unite. Now I'm going to go and select crop, grouping, and then I'm going to go up here to crop, and basically did the same thing as intersect to a certain degree, except it's showing the orange square underneath. But notice how it still shows the path for the blue right there. So that's pretty odd, actually. But you know, I suppose, let me see what happens if I take the eyedropper tool. I'm curious. Oh, just changed both of them. But I believe, now if I go to ungroup, now I'm going to do that again. Trying things out here. Because I believe this should be different from that. So, okay, let me just try to select that and see what happens. I'm going to click the I key. That gives me the eyedropper tool. Alright, there we go. I figured that would act different from that, and it did. I just had to make sure when I selected, I'm going to undo that, click the V key, I can select these separately, right? They're acting as two different shapes, and for some reason it left this as a remnant, and that's why I decided to then see if it would act separate, right? So do that for me, okay? I'll show me that you knew how to select this part and then use the eyedropper tool and color this part in separately from that. Okay, we're getting savvy. Okay, we're going to click the V key, click on the white. All right, now we're going to go to outline. This is something kind of different. So we're going to go up here and click on outline. So what this has done is kind of weird. If I go to stroke down here, notice the color on the stroke has little question marks, right? It's like it doesn't really know what color this is, right? And you really can't tell in a way because it's so thin. It's just basically like a path, a very thin stroke. But I do want to up the stroke on this, and it's going to show you that basically we have two different colors selected here. That's why the stroke is confused. It's like it can't show the orange and blue within this little stroke little icon right here. But we have two different colors selected. It's still orange here, blue here, but look what it's done. It's given us the path for the orange that's overlapping the blue and made it blue. So pretty odd stuff. Now watch this. Now if I go to ungroup, okay, and then I come out here and select the white. Now if I come up here and select this part of the path, I click my up arrow and then my left arrow. That's how all these are kind of new separate paths. Okay, and I click this orange, click the down arrow, right arrow. Now you could just take your mouse and click on it and move it, but using the arrows gives you small increments. I'm going to click on this path, if I can select it, down arrow. Just trying to show them how they're all separate. Okay, so to do this, just show me that you can separate these, and then they've been ungrouped, and now they're separate. Okay, So mine is back. Last one, click on that, and basically just took a chunk out of that. Sort of basically like some of the things we've been doing. It's just taking the back part out. This sort of like this was minus front. The front oval took the chunk out of the orange. Now the orange took a chunk out of the blue oval. Okay, so that's it. That's all you're doing. All right. Now you need to save this twice, of course, as an Illustrator file. Go Save As. Find your desktop. Find your folder. So I've got the Shape Modes Pathfinder worksheet, and yours. Some reason mine says 1 right there. I don't know if yours will, but anyway, move this out of the way. We'll click on Save. Click OK. Now we'll go to File. Go to Export. Export As. And then it'll be a JPEG, and then we export it and click OK. Okay, so that's it. And I don't know why that's showing up. And so that's it. Make sure to turn that in.